Welcome to Sunday night at Kensington Church. Yeah. We are pretty excited, and we started late tonight because we had so many people in the food thing. We will fix that. There's one thing Kensington does. If we don't have it right the first time, guaranteed next week when you come back, it'll be quicker. You hear me? You feel me? It'll be quicker. It'll be better. We still have cars right now at Silverbell trying to get in, which is an awesome, awesome thing. So we decided to start a little bit late. But if you're new, we will start at 6 o'clock next week. We need to end on time because we got our Edge thing going on. But anyway, I told you guys all week. I told you this morning if you were here. Anybody coming from this morning? All right, good. You weren't here this morning. That's good. Here's what I told the crowd this morning. I said, tonight will be a Lions Victory Party church party. And I was right. And everybody looked at me like, you don't know if they're going to win. I told you they would win, and it's awesome. And so we're going to celebrate tonight with a thing called church, or whatever it is. So anyway, here's a couple things you need to know. Next Friday night, and I really hope you'll come, we have our leadership gathering, which is going to be right here. I don't even know what time. Just find out. Anybody know what time? 6 o'clock? 6:30? Whatever. It'll start on time, whatever time it is. On our app. Show up. We've got Chris Brooks coming from Evangel Church down the city. We've got Brian Tome from Cincinnati. And then Steve Andrews, you heard of that guy? And Mark Nelson and I, we sort of helped start this place, are going to do an interview to talk about why are we doing our weekends a little different than we did 2 years ago. And you want to know why we're doing that because something's changed in the culture. We're trying to adapt to something. And if you're interested in that, that's going to be part of Friday night as well. It's going to be a great, great, great time. You can sign up right there or go to our app and get in and be here next week. All right. Something else is going on in the building right now. Amanda, come on up. We've got our breakaway ministry going on. Our middle school kids are meeting right now. I guess there's tons of them right over there. And then after this service, Amanda will tell you what's going on with our high school ministry.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, good. I grabbed the right microphone. I was nervous about that. My name is Amanda Kozlowski. I work with our high school students. So if there's any high school students in this crowd, I just want to invite you to come to our program. It's going to start immediately following this service. So super pumped about that. It's our first night, so we're doing some special things. We've got some giveaways.
You've got Skittles.
We've got Skittles. Actually, those are for breakaway kids that I'm going to steal.
No, they're not. They're for me.
And they're for you. That's good.
Here, you have one.
And
that's
apparently that guy right there. But anyway,
he ate it.
So I love that you throw stuff at people. You crack me up. Seriously, you are always throwing
Sunday
things
night,
like
baby.
Footballs.
We're gonna have fun.
I don't know. You're crazy. Anyway, we're super excited about what we have going on. If you're in high school, come and find me after the service. I would love to introduce you to some of our leaders, some of the other students. We've just got an awesome program for you. And like Dave said, Breakaway is happening right now. So if you're in this crowd and you are from 6th to 8th grade, I want you to come and follow me. I've got this whole box full of candy, so if you get up out of your chair, I know that's a little bit awkward, but I'm going to be walking. You can walk with me. Just pretend like you're going to the bathroom, and I will give you candy and take you to Breakaway with me. So I don't want you to miss it. Don't sit through the service with your parents when we have a perfect program for you happening right now during this service. Don't miss it. So
if you're 30 years old and you want Skittles, do not follow her.
Yeah,
all right?
Please don't do that.
They'll be in the lobby afterwards.
Only this guy gets to steal candy from me. But yeah, if you're in middle school, just get up right now. Follow me. I'm going to go out that door there, and I will walk you right to where you need to go. Okay?
All right. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need that. I'm going to take it.
I don't need it. And here's the last thing I'll say. I've always wanted to. Some of you know I'm a movie guy. I love to go to movies. A couple weeks ago, I told you my top 5 movies. And I've always thought, what would it be like to start a Kensington service like a movie, like an epic movie start? So we might just do that for you tonight. But before we do, go ahead and stand up, give somebody a high five, tell them that you knew the Lions were going to win, and then sit back down.
Black. All great Kensington services start with black. And music. Edgy, scary music. It'll make a parent or a Kensington Kids worker nervous. Get over it. And logos. Really long, dramatic logos. Kensington Church. Why does the K have an orange chevron? Weird, but I like it. Circles. I prefer triangles. Oh well. An original Kensington series talking about relationships. I work alone. Ironic. Open book. Must be what today's all about. I don't know what it means, but the logo is macho. I dig it. Now, get ready for some reading. If you want to make the world a better place, just look at yourself and make a change. Woo. No, I said that. Time to start the service. No better way to start a day on Circles than this song.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round.
No, not that song. This one.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we live in our dream.
I think that was really funny. What do you think? I mean, when we made that, I just thought it was funny. If you're anything like me, you've seen Lego Batman. Who's seen it? It starts just like that. We copied that one Batman. That was our own Josh Korn's voice. He sounded like Batman. That was his invention. He wanted to do it. And I just think it was an awesome way to start the day. And you know, that annoying song, everything is awesome, right? It's like, let it go, let it go. It's like, enough already, right? Well, the amazing thing is that's from the Lego movie, right? And so we just thought it'd be fun to start the service that way. And it's sort of interesting as we talk about Circles, which is all about relationships and community. When you think about this, everything is awesome. Not always. In fact, right now, everything is not awesome in Florida. So think about this. As we're standing here, sitting here, they are getting hit with Hurricane Irma right now. In fact, our Kensington, Orlando campus canceled church this morning because they thought, we don't want to go to church, we want to be the church. So they didn't go to a building and have a service. They went into the community and said, how can we help? And Kevin just texted me, the lead pastor down there, and said they're just now starting to get hit with high winds. And they're not obviously getting the worst of it. It's more to the west of them. And so we want to take just a minute before we continue tonight and just pray for them. It's the least we can do. And also, if you want to help, even financially, on our Kensington app, you can go on there and we'll get our money down there to help as well. So let's pray together. Father God, I pray right now that you would make your presence known in that situation. I pray you would protect them. You would minimize what's happening down there, and your church would come to be your hands and feet. And Lord, I do pray for your power, for your protection, for your presence, for your peace to overwhelm that place, and that people would know that even in the midst of this, you are there and you are in control. So God, we give this to you and trust you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so as we talk about the week two of what we're calling Circles, really community. It's really interesting. As we kicked this off last week, we talked about often people sort of cover up what's really going on behind. And it's really interesting when you're struggling, we often don't show that. We even now in social media will post things that say everything's great when everything isn't great. And it's interesting how God heals us through those hard times. And so one of our own, Josh Collier, wrote a song that sort of depicts what if people really knew what was going on. And we made a video to go with it to sort of take us on a journey to find out how community can answer this kind of situation.
Fear has made his way inside. Its roots are deep. Senses dark and divide. It's poisoning me. Every moment passing is growing and surrounding. Hopeless feels like drowning. If you only knew. If you only knew. If you only dry. If you only knew, if you only feels like drown. If you only knew, if you only knew.
You know, a couple weeks ago, I saw that video and heard that song for the first time. And, you know, as I was watching it, I realized I'm that girl on that tire swing. That was my life. You know, I don't know if you connected the dots in that, but, you know, they're posting things that say everything's okay, but nothing was really okay. And that grown-up woman was reflecting back when she was a little girl and her parents were just imploding in front of her. And she used to go to that swing to get away from it. And many of you know my background and my story. That was sort of me. I didn't have a tire swing in my backyard, but I could take you to the backyard of the house I grew up in Ohio and show you where I used to go to sort of hide when my mom and dad would scream and yell and things weren't going well. It was like I pulled away. And I didn't have social media in the day, but when I went to school, even when I went to high school, all that was covered up. I was okay. Everything's fine. There's nothing going wrong in my house. And it's interesting when you think about your past, or it could have been years ago like me, it could be recent past where there's things going on, and you're like, how do I heal? How do I get beyond that? If you would ask me my opinion, ask me my opinion, I'm going to tell you. Here's my opinion. There's only two things that will heal that. Want to take a guess what the first one is? You're at church. Take a guess. Yeah, it's Jesus. I would say the only way Jesus heals that, or any kind of pain or any kind of valley you've walked through, and maybe you're walking through one right now, I would say without a doubt, Jesus can heal. You take that kind of pain to the great physician, his name is Jesus, and you say, can you work on this? He says, yes. But I think we stop too quickly right there and we think, is there something else that Jesus needs or uses to heal us? Yeah. And it's what this series is all about. He uses people. Can God do it without people? Yeah, but does he? No, hardly ever. He always uses people in our life, community, as we're calling it, circles of people, a small circle of people that you're doing life with. That's how God healed me. That's how God heals everyone. It's Jesus through the blood of the cross, through the resurrection, the power of God, but it's also always through people. We've said this here many times at Kensington, and we will always say this. There will always be a series that always talks about how you and I were made to do life in community. In fact, the theme of tonight, the theme of this whole 3-week series called Circles is this. You were made to do life in community. That's the way God wired you, made you. That's the human DNA. We all need relationships. In fact, you've heard me say this, and it's really interesting when you study just the human body and say, okay, do relationships help us physically? Oh yeah, it's crazy. You live longer if you're in relationships than people that aren't in close relationships. You know that, right? You can study psychology, you can study medical reports. It's really interesting to look at. In fact, I've quoted here many times a study done years ago where they studied people that had bad eating habits but good relationships with people that had good eating habits and no relationships. You remember that study? Here's what they concluded. People that had bad health habits like smoking, obesity, too much alcohol use, and just really ate poorly, but if they had strong relationships, they lived significantly longer than people that had bad health habits and hardly any relationships. In fact, John Ortberg, in commenting on that, an author and pastor, he said, so here's what that study means. It's better to eat Twinkies with friends than to eat broccoli alone. And, it's sort of funny when you hear that, but, literally, physically, it's true. And it makes, you got to be kidding me. No, that's the truth. And there's been studies on happiness, and every study on happiness says the happiest people in the world are not the people that are the richest or get all the things they wish they would get in life. Every time they say the happiest people in the world are the ones that have relationships. In fact, I'll read you a quote about one of those. It says, what distinguishes consistently happier people from less happy people is the presence of rich, deep, joy-producing, life-changing, meaningful relationships. That's it. It's like that's the way God made us. He made us to do life in community, and we even physically are better when we obey it and actually do it, right? In fact, think about this. If you try to beat a disease or beat anything in your life by yourself, it'll probably break you. If you do it in community, you have a better chance of winning. I've used this illustration before. Somebody might remember this, but I need somebody really strong up here in the front row to come up on stage and break something. I need somebody right here. Come on up, man. Come on up. And I've got something, or you can jump right up here, man. Let's see your stuff. Let's just jump up here. There you go. Oh, that was pretty impressive. All right, tell them who you are.
Mike Golan.
Mike, there's a pencil. You think you can break that?
There's a possibility.
You look like, you've been working. Go ahead. See if you can do it. Yeah, you thought maybe it was a trick. It's a piece of cake. No, anybody can break a pencil. So here you go, Mike. How about 15 pencils? I'll give you a couple more just to make sure you don't break them. Here you go. Do whatever you need to do. Break those, baby.
Not happening.
Not at all?
Not happening.
I did this 3 times this morning. Nobody. The last guy, Jeff, a buddy of mine, he went like this. Bam! And just killed us. He broke his femur. But he did not break these pencils. Now, if I took it down to like that, you think you'd do it? I'm not going to find out. Forget it. Thanks, Mike. That's all I wanted you to do. Give him a hand. That was great. But here's the truth. It's a simple illustration. We've all seen it before. It's elementary. But here's the question. Do you want to live your life like this? Or do you want to live your life like that? And you don't need 20 people. You don't even need 10 people in your life. God created you to have 3 or 4 people that you're doing life with. And whenever you go through something hard and you're going through it with other people, I could break that if I had to, but it's actually pretty hard to do. Why? Because this is the power of community. It gives you power. It gives you strength. And God said, I created you to do life in community. You want to heal? You'll never heal on your own. You will heal with Jesus in community. Because community is sort of like the presence or the face or the hands and feet of Jesus. And so it's really interesting as you think about that. It's like this whole series is built on that premise. In fact, this whole series called Circles, not triangles, Circles, you guys catch that one in there? Is based on a quote from a pretty famous pastor named Andy Stanley of a church called North Point in Alpharetta, Georgia, and Buckhead, and the different areas of Atlanta. I love listening to this guy preach. I think he's one of the best Bible teachers I've ever heard. And he was being interviewed years ago, and the interviewer said this: if you died tomorrow, what would happen to North Point? Assuming that mega churches are built around one, big personality, and Andy's that guy, and if you were gone, this church would sort of die. So he said, what would happen to North Point? And Andy said, I'll make it even better. How about all of us die? All the staff die. There's nobody to lead North Point. Let me tell you what would happen. He said on Monday and on Tuesday and on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday, there would be small pockets of people meeting in homes all around this community, studying the Bible together, praying together in small groups, and this church would flourish. He said, we are famous at North Point for our rows Sunday morning, but the culture of North Point is built around circles. And here's the quote he said. He said, circles are better than rows. For what? Life change. Now, what's he getting at? He's getting at this. See, what's happening right now is good. You guys are sitting in rows, right? Right here. This is church, right? Sunday night church. First time ever in the history of Kensington. We got Sunday night church, and you're here. And it's great, right? It's Sunday night, but you're in rows listening to one of the greatest preachers the world's ever known, right here. That's what you're doing. Now, you're laughing because, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have known, is that true or not true? But now you know it isn't true because you can go on your phone and you can listen to Andy and all the other guys. You go, we got to listen to Wilson when those guys are out there. And some of you don't even come. You just listen to them online. But anyway, even those guys are preaching like I'm preaching to rows. Are rows good? Yeah. Are rows great? No. Think about it. Will this change your life? No. It will a little bit. I mean, why would we do it if it didn't change your life a little bit? So hopefully it impacts you in a significant way. But I'll promise you something. If you don't move out of this big row thing, into some circles in your life, you'll never, ever become the man or woman you want to be. I am guaranteeing you that. It's that important. Because what needs to happen is these little things need to turn around. And, Mike's looking over here at Dave and Phyllis. He doesn't even know them, but they sit in their house or they sit at a coffee shop or something, and they start talking. There's probably a little Bible in the middle, and they say, hey, let's study this. Next thing you know, he starts telling his story. He starts telling his story. She tells her story. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, my gosh, he's just like me. And he's thinking, man, I'm not a loser like him, but he's like us. But that's what happened. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You don't have to do that. I didn't do that all morning. That's sort of fun to do that tonight. But that's what happens in circles is you start to do life together. And I'm not kidding. You start to see, you can't do that here. All you see here is the back of somebody's head and a bald guy up here speaking to you. It's really the most inefficient way to do anything. So why do we do it? Well, we hope to do it to inspire you to the next step, which is so much better. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't take the next step, which is waiting for you tonight in the lobby, if you want to connect in a circle, in a small group, it's waiting for you. And here's what I know after almost 30 years of ministry. Most people in the church won't. This is all they do. And then they never really grow. And guess who they blame? The church. They don't feed me enough. They don't do it. It's like, oh my gosh. Get in a group, start to do life with somebody else you've never met or somebody you already know and say, let's take this to another level and let's see what happens. And I'm telling you right now, I'm promising you, God will transform your life in a circle, in a small group. That's how he does it. That is literally how he does it. He doesn't do it just here. This is part of it, but it's really when you do this. And I'm getting pretty fired up because I'm like, oh, I want you to do this so bad because I know what you want to become. And I'll be honest with you. I am standing here in front of you as one of your leaders. Why? 3 people. Jesus, my wife Ann sitting right there, she believes in me and it propels me to be the man that she believes I am. And the guys that I'm doing life with, and trust me, it's not all you. Dave's one of them. Rob's another one. John, Craig. I mean, they're around here somewhere. We've been doing life. How many years, Dave? 17, 18, 20 years? Almost from the beginning of Kensington. And I'll tell you more about that. Let's look. But those men have changed my life. Phyllis and other women have changed Ann's life. And it's the small group part that's made us who we are. And I'm not standing up here saying I'm so much better than you and so far ahead. But the man I am today has been shaped by those guys. And I've shaped their life. And that doesn't happen unless you say, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And some of you are sitting there going, okay, dude, just tell me what to do. I hope that's what you're thinking. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm going to use 4 visuals. If you're sitting there going, okay, I want this. What do I do? I'll give you 4 visuals. The first one I'll show you on my iPad. I could bring one up here. Where is it? Oh, after the game, I lost all my stuff. There it is. Guess what that is? That's a calendar. I could bring a big paper one that maybe you hang on the wall in the kitchen, but I'm a paperless guy and I go digital. So what I'm saying is this. If you want to see your life literally change, there goes one of my illustrations. Don't see that yet. You have to put circles. I'm just going to now exchange the name, small group, on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it will not happen. Am I right? You've heard me say, and you know this is true. If you want to know what's important to a person, where do you look? 2 places, their calendar and where? Their checkbook or their bank account, right? I can say anything I want to you about what my priorities are. All you got to do is look at my bank account and you go, there's your priorities. It's always revealed in how you handle and spend your money. If I say Jesus Christ is number 1 in my life and I never give him any money, it's just words. If I say community and small groups are really important to me, and there's no money or there's nothing on my calendar that's blocked off that says nothing interrupts this. It's just words. So when I say calendar, I say, man, you got to be intentional and organized to say, I'm putting this on my calendar and nothing else is going to beat it. I love what Bill Hybel says. He says, you don't write it on your calendar in pencil, you write it in pen. See, the things you write in there in pencil, and of course we don't write anything, most of us, in our calendar. I'm talking about big, bold font, like a 24 font, all right? Bam, that says small group, Tuesday night, I'll be there. It says Alpha, Tuesday night, I'll be there. It's like, you want to see somebody's life change? Look at their calendar, and if it's on there and they get there, it'll change their life. I can't tell you the number of times people have come up to me at Kensington over the years, and they'll say something like this on a Sunday morning, and maybe now even on Sunday night, they'll say something like, man, I'm so glad I got here today. I wasn't going to come, but I showed up, and man, oh man, did God meet me here today. And they think that's encouraging to me, and I'm like, wait, you weren't going to come? Why are you here? Well, I just sort of worked out. I had time, and I thought, I would just go to church. I'm like, this isn't like in bold on your calendar, church? I mean, you're a husband. You've got a wife. You've got kids. You're not getting them here? Like, this is something, folks, we don't miss. You know what's on our calendar? Soccer. NFL, fantasy football. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. It's all wonderful stuff. But guess what? That becomes more important than the most important thing in your life. We got problems. So if you and I say, man, I want to grow in Christ. I really don't just want to survive. I want to thrive this year. Let me tell you something. It's got to be on the calendar. Because it's interesting. When you look at the early church, and by the way, you're like, okay, what does that look like in the Bible? You go to the book that's all about the early church. Anybody know what book? You got Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and then the book of Acts. It's the acts of God through the apostles, the acts of the Holy Spirit through the apostles. It's like, what did the early church look like? Let me tell you, it was on their calendar. I don't know if they had it in the sand. You don't know how they did their calendar, but they had church on there. In fact, I'll show you in Acts chapter 2. Here's a description of the early church, and look at how they devoted time to getting together. Verse 42, it says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship. So they did what we're doing right now. Apostles' teaching, not that I'm an apostle, but the teaching, the fellowship is relationships, right? And it says, and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. That would be communion. It says, everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who was in need. Every day, look at this, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So it's interesting. If you would look at my calendar, you would see on there T2 once a month, hopefully. That's something we've locked in. What's T2 stand for? Dave could tell you. It stands for 2 Timothy 2:2, where Paul said, and the things that have been entrusted to me, entrust to other faithful men who will pass these on to others. So 17, 18 years ago, 20 years ago, I invited these guys into a group we called T2. Ann has a T2 group, and we say, let's meet and let's challenge one another to grow. And let me tell you, those men have shaped my life. There's no secrets with these guys. They know my struggles. They know my frustrations. They know my joys. I know theirs. I've been in their homes in tragedy. They've been in mine. I've been in their homes in victories with them and their kids. They've been in mine. Don't you long for that? I've got it. It's one of the best gifts God's ever given me, is these people in my life. It's probably one of the things that has kept me in Michigan more than Kensington. It's been those relationships. And I tell you, as you hear me talking about that, I know the way you're wired, because God made you in his image to need that. You're going, I want that, I want that, I want that. I'm telling you how you can get it. It doesn't just happen. You don't drift into circles. You don't drift into community. It's intentional. And you've got to put it on the calendar. And tonight, when you walk out, you have a chance to go find your group. And I'll tell you something else. This group of the guys that I'm with was like the 9th group I tried. See, a lot of us try a group and like, man, those people are weird. I don't like them. I don't get along. Those church people, I'll never do that again. And they end it and they're done. I did that for 8 or 9 groups. And finally, I found these guys and find there's a fit. So keep going, keep going. Why? I knew God knew that I needed it and they needed it. Somewhere it's going to work. But the first thing is the calendar says it's got to be intentional. The second thing is this. I brought a fork. All right? And I know it's sort of a salad fork. I just got it from the green room. You know, I didn't want to lose a real fork or my wife might be. So here's a plastic little fork. But what's it illustrate? It illustrates verse 44. It says, they broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. So not only did they meet at the church, they were meeting in each other's homes and they were having meals together. So all this is like the calendar's intentional, organized time. A meal is just a hang time and an organic time. They just happen. Sometimes you set them up. Sometimes you just do it, right? Because what happens when you spend time eating a meal with somebody, it takes time. You get to know them, right? I was going to do a coffee cup, but I'm not really a coffee drinker, and I think you can drink a cup of coffee in about 15 minutes. That's not enough time. I was going to do a movie ticket and say, just start going to movies together, because I love going to movies. But when you go to movies together, you sit beside each other and you don't talk. That's not good. I mean, it's great. I'll go anytime you invite me to go to a movie. But that's not what it's about. It's about getting to know each other. And what happens? They ate together and broke bread in each other's homes. Do that. And you'll start to develop relationships, and you'll just start to develop friendships. And the next thing you know, you've got a brother or sister that you want to do life with. You know, my wife, Ann, has been down to Atlanta, Georgia, north of Georgia, 3 times in the last 3.5 weeks. Why? Because her dad has bone cancer and just got a steel rod put in his femur. And he's the 24/7 caregiver for Ann's mom, who has dementia. There's nobody else there taking care of her but him, and now he can't walk. So for the last 3 weeks, as he's recovering, one of the kids had to be there. There's 2 brothers and Ann. So they're taking turns. Somebody's there every day, 24/7, for the last 3 weeks. So she's flown down there twice, and then I said, you can't fly again. It's too expensive. So she drove last week 11 hours and spent 4 days and drove 11 hours back just to save some money on the whole thing. But she's been gone a lot in the last 3 weeks. So guess what I do for food? I don't think I had one meal in my empty house with my dog while she was away. And you think, man, what a moocher. Yeah, I am. I text my buddies like, hey, can I come over for dinner? Yep, I'm coming. Okay, and then they start texting me, you want to come over for dinner? Yep, and somebody else texts me the same day, you want to come over for dinner? And I go, yep. So I eat somewhere every time, right? And what happens? We're eating, we're hanging out, it's organic, and we're getting to know each other and sharing our lives. It's awesome. I remember one time years ago, one of my nephews came up. Remember this, Ann? It was 10, 15 years ago. And he spent 3 or 4 days with us, and he was getting ready to leave. He goes, man, being at your house is a lot different than my house. I'm like, what way? And he goes, you have people like show up, and you just hang out with them. Like, Dave, you got these guys that come up and you're out there playing basketball and you have them in your house and they're in the basement. We don't have that in our house. It's like you are doing life with people. I'm like, yep. That's the way God designed us to do life. And trust me, if you and I are going to do that, we have to look real hard at the calendar, don't we? Now, I'll be honest. There's some things you and I have to say no to say yes to this. And this is more important than some of the things we're saying yes to. And we live in a culture, it's crazy. It is crazy how fast we go. And we don't have time for anything but all these events. And God is saying, you want to grow? You want to become the man or woman I created you to be? You want to transform the legacy of your family? You've got to put this on the calendar. Intentional time, hangout time. And then the third one, if you go down farther in this thing, you find out at verse 47, it says, they were praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people, and the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Now, what's going on? They weren't just getting together. They weren't just hanging out and sharing stories or talking about the current events of the day. When they got together, there was an element, probably a really, really big element of their time together that was what? It was about God, right? And so I just brought this book up as a visual of the Word of God. It says, okay, if we were in a small group together and you and I want to talk about the Detroit Lions for 30 minutes, I'm out. I just got to be honest with you. I can talk about them for maybe 10 minutes, maybe tonight 15 minutes. But, you know, it's like I can only go so long about that. I don't want to talk about Donald Trump's tweets anymore. At some point, it's like, are we going to do something? Let's go. Let's get in this book. Let's find out what God wants us to do and be and how this applies to our marriages and how this applies to us as men or as women, as parents. It's like, let's be intentional at some time in this meeting to say, this is really why we're getting together. And then we open this thing up and let God literally change our life as we interact over this book with other people. See, here's the bad thing about what's happening right here. The bad thing about this is why it's good, not great, is I talk, you listen, nobody interacts. And then some of you are going, well, let's start interacting. It would never work. There's 1,000 people here. It would never work. We couldn't do that. But when you get in a basement or in a coffee shop or in somebody's family room and you open the Word of God and go, tell me how you apply this in your life. And then magic happens, right? I can remember, I'll never forget, the first time I ever went to a Bible study. It wasn't even called a small group then. I was on a college campus. It was with Crusade or Campus Crusade or Crew or Athletes in Action. I had just become a Christian, and this dude invited me to a football Bible study on the other side of campus in his dorm room because I was now a new Christian. And I remember going, so when is it? He goes, Friday night. I go, wait a minute. You guys are getting together on a Friday night to read the Bible? Yeah, why? I'm like, dude, Friday night? Friday night is party night. Come on. Why not Friday morning or Saturday morning? He goes, no, it's Friday night. You want to come? I'm like, maybe. That's real commitment. So I went. And some of you heard the story. I literally went like this with my Bible. I put it under my letter jacket because I was sort of known on that campus as their quarterback, and I didn't want anybody to see that I was going to a Bible study, and I was embarrassed, and so I hid it. And I was also scared. You know why? Because I had no idea what's in this book. I had never read it my entire life. Some of you know a lot more about the Bible because you grew up in the church. I didn't. I didn't know Malachi from Revelation, from Hezekiah, which isn't a book, it's a person. I didn't know any of that. And so I knew I'm going to go to this thing, and they're going to point at me and say, hey, Dave, read out of the book of John. And I'm like, John's in here? Who's John? All I knew was John Lennon. I'm like, are you serious? And I knew, I had my preconceived idea. They're going to be in there and they're going to sing Kumbaya, my Lord, and they're going to handle snakes and all that stuff. It's in the Bible, right? And so have you ever thought that? It's like, I'm not going to go there. I'm never going to fit there. They're all weirdo nerdos. They're nothing like me. I'm cool. I got my bang I can flip over. And it's like, no way am I going to fit in this group. So I really went in there and I was scared to death. And I sat down, and I'll never forget it. They did study John that night. And I didn't know where John was, and nobody judged me, and nobody made fun of me. They go, Dave, it's on 397. Thanks. And then the guy taught it, and people discussed it. And I was sitting there. I'd never in my life heard a passage of Scripture make any sense. And I'd been around the church. It never made sense. And this guy taught it in a way that was so applicable to my life. And guys were sharing stories. And I remember sitting there going, oh, my gosh, this dude struggles just like me, but he's got a victory that I don't have. So we're so much alike, but we're not alike. I gotta get to know this guy better because he's real and honest, but he's got a power I don't know. And this dude over here, and next thing I know, I'm like, when's our next one? Is it next Friday? I'll be here. And guess what? I'm here now because of that. I think I've been in a small group for 40 years. In one way or another, for 40 years. Every church Ann and I went to, every church, first thing we did, how do we get plugged in? It isn't about showing up. It's about getting plugged in. And so we found our circle, and that circle literally changed our life. And so then the last thing is this. So you got it, right? Calendar means intentional time. Put it on the calendar. What's the second one? A fork means hangout time, organic time. The third one is God time. Make it about God somewhere in that time. And then the last one is something I was thinking I got to follow up on what my son Cody said last week. He was here preaching last week, did the series, and he talked about shame, right? And he had all these incredible principles about how people wear masks, right? Here's my masks to illustrate my mask. He had like Freddy the Krueger mask and it scared everybody, right? So Halloween stuff. So I'm just putting on sunglasses because here's what we do. As Cody was talking about shame, he says because we feel shame, we cover. And we go to church and we really cover. It's like, you drive down the pier here and you're getting ready to turn in and you're not in a good mood and maybe you're in a fight in the car with your kids and your wife and then you get on the property and then you park the car and the door's open and all the rainbow and butterflies come out, right? Because you're at church and then you start to walk up to the front door and you're just like this, But as soon as you see somebody at church say, hey, how you doing? You go, I'm just good in Jesus. Jesus is so good to me. I mean, you just start faking the whole thing, right? Because you think what we all think is that people there are better than me. None of them struggle like I do, so there's no way I can really show them what's going on, so I'll just cover it up. And let me tell you something. If you want to grow, you need 3 or 4 or 2 or 5 or 6 people in your life where you do this. Now, you don't do this with everybody. You just do it with a few. You don't walk up to some dude in the lobby that you've never met and he goes, hey, man, how you doing? Well, I'm really struggling with pornography right now. It's kicking my butt. I don't know if I'm... Okay, dude, so, yeah, I mean, that's inappropriate to people that don't know, but if you are cultivating a circle relationship in a small group and you're struggling with something or you just experience incredible victory, they want to be a part of that. And so this isn't the thing you need. This is the thing you need. You need a sunglass case. You put them away. There's got to be a place in your life where you put them away. I wish we had sunglass cases at the door. As you're walking to Kensington, take them off now. Throw them in here. Be real here. You can be safe here because this shouldn't be a place of judgment. This should be a place of grace, right? And Cody had all these little sayings last week. They all rhymed. I don't know where he gets this idea to rhyme things, but I thought I'm going to one-up Cody this week. You know, here's mine. If you want to heal, you must reveal. If you want to heal, you must reveal. I was talking to him this afternoon. He goes, Dad, that's what you said this morning? Because he was preaching at Clinton Township this morning. I go, yeah. He goes, do you remember what I said last week? I go, no, what'd you say? He goes, I said, if you want to heal, you got to be real. That's real creative, Dad. You turned be real to reveal. Anyway, mine's better. So here we go. The truth is, if you want to heal, and I mean this, there's got to be somebody in your life. Somebody in your life that you take off the sunglasses, you put them away in the sunglass case, and you say, I got to share something with you. And by the way, think about this. The church isn't the only place people put on masks. They put them on everywhere. The church gets knocked for it. Everybody does it everywhere. Because what Cody said last week, there's so much shame that we're hiding. You need a place where the shame's gone and you find out you're loved. And that the grace of Jesus is applied to your life just as like it is to your brother or sister who's sitting in that group. And you get to see how they have found victory in Jesus and you're not there yet. You'll never feel that from me on a stage. You're only going to feel that from a brother or sister in a home or a group. So man, I long for you after the service to walk out there and say, okay, this is the day. This is the year I take that scary step for some of you to say, okay, I'm going to take this step and trust God to connect me to a brother or a sister or another couple or another family that I need to do life with. So a year from now and 5 years from now, I can say, these people have changed my life through Jesus. That's how he does it. Circles are better than rows. And so here's what we're going to do right now. I want to show you a video, a great video of a guy named Julio, goes to our Clarkston campus, played golf with him last summer. I didn't know any of this story, and this is the backstory of his life about why he's even here at Kensington. And it's just such a great picture of a guy who said no to community and then went on a journey. And you watch what God did in him, and it's the same thing he wants to do in you. And so as we watch this, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to let God speak to us through his story, but we're also going to take our offering, which means we're going to give. And here's the thing. I think it's awesome that in community, we give back to God to a mission we believe in. Now, some of you are brand new. One of the reasons we did a Sunday night service is to say, hey, if you've never tried Kensington before, maybe Sunday morning doesn't work for you Sunday night. So if you're new here tonight, you're our guest. What's that mean? You don't have to give. If you want to give, we're not going to stop you, but you don't have to. That's really for us as a family at Kensington. I'm into this mission. Your next step, if you're new here, is not to give, but to go out after the service and find starting point. It's people in orange shirts says starting point, says, I'd like to start somewhere. Where do I take my next step? It's starting point, so do that. So let God speak to you. Give back to him through Julio's story.
I grew up in Texas on a 25-acre ranch. Nobody around us, probably miles on each side. There was no neighbors, no family, no community style like that. Andy was a really good friend of mine. Elementary growing up, we had a childhood relationship. He knew stories about what I didn't ever tell anybody and probably have had trouble telling anybody. At that point, we were about, I was 13, he was 14. We had just a regular childhood life where that was part of the norm up until he passed away. They went fishing and they went into a crossing river and he didn't make it back. And he passed away right around, right when I was about to turn 14. And in my head, I felt like I had really lost my only person that I can trust in at that point, because I was, raised individually with my dad on the ranch and my mom, but didn't have any outside friends like that. So when I lost that, I think I lost a little bit of my childhood of trust again, and I was striving for that. So I spent the better part of 2 years not able to adjust. I decided to leave Texas. I came to a 98% white community, leaving a 99% Mexican community. But inside that next year, I ended up meeting 7 of my friends that ended up becoming lifelong friends from there. They weren't deep. A lot of them didn't know why I had moved to Michigan. I spent the last 25 years probably just giving them my best view of me. My wife prayed to say, I just want my husband to join me at church. My brother-in-law, her brother, was part of Kensington. I heard Dave speaking about community, and right away that was really the draw. And it did not come overnight. I spent 2 years in the shadow. I never even talked to anybody for the first 2 years of my once in a while Kensington. In 2012, I was invited by my brother-in-law, Jay Richardson. He said, "Hey, let's go to one of these retreats. Let's see how you do." I said no. Right off the bat, I was like, "There's not. I just can't." I start off by saying that I'm just not doing it, you know. So then about a week went by of just actually getting into wondering why would he want me to do that? Why would he? I don't see the point. And my mind instantly turned on it. And I said, yes, I will definitely go. And I went. I experienced my first small group in there. I felt very scared of showing people emotion that I'd never wanted to show anybody. I think you feel vulnerable at that beginning. You feel like, why do they need to know this information? What good is it going to do? And I went into a protective, if I tell them, then they're going to have that on me. I think that was the linchpin to the whole thing, that if I can get over this, everything will be better. Everything. And it was a relief. At the end of the day, it was a relief. I can be vulnerable, and everything was all right. So I was more scared of what was to come if I was vulnerable, and it wasn't what I thought. So when I came back from Man Up, I felt that I have uncovered what my major problem is as a family man, was that I was super selfish. I felt like I was going to be able to take care of myself no matter what, and it really was no matter what. If my family wasn't going to hang on, well, then there's nothing I can do about it. And I left Man Up going, no, I'm selfish. The only reason I'm like that is because of me. And Man Up did change my life on that. I showed my kids more emotion, true feelings. You open up to your wife and you show the vulnerable part that is needed as a husband. My house was a closed house before Man Up. Nobody was going to come in my house. You know, they tell you at Man Up that you find your 2 o'clock friends and you're going to invite them in your house with these problems. And that's why we throw you to the community, so they can come into your house. I said, absolutely not. That is not going to happen. Nobody's going to know my business at home. Today, my door is an open door. I have friends that I've probably met inside the last year that have open policy to come to my house and find out what we got going on. Don't be scared. Get involved. Find a small group. Find any group. Being transparent with that group is going to help out a ton.
Yeah, it's a great story. I've watched that all day. This is the 4th time I've seen it today, and I just smile because he's so honest and so raw and so us, right? It's like, I'm not doing that. Ain't going to happen. And now it's like he's a transformed man. Why? Because he went to church and sat in rows. That was part of it. But you heard the real part of it was he got in a small group and he got in a circle and it's changed his life. And so, let me say this before I move us toward the end of the service. And I say this to the men. Ladies, you can listen in, but I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the guys. What changed Julio's life and has changed thousands of men's life here is a thing called Man Up. It's our fall men's retreat. It's October 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's coming up just in a month. And I'm telling you, if you've never been there, get there. I'm telling you right now, from one man to another, get there. It will change your life. I promise you that. I guarantee you that. I don't even know if I can say this, but I'll say it. I guarantee your money back if it doesn't change your life. It will change your life. You'll have a blast. You'll laugh like you never laughed before. But more importantly, you're going to connect with other guys that maybe you don't even know right now. And you're going to connect with God in a way that I can't explain. Does not happen when there's women in the room. I love women. I love my wife. I love those. But something unique happens when men are alone for a weekend to say, let's get serious and real about this God thing. And let's get serious and real about a community of men. I tell you, you don't want to miss it. Friday night, I'll be speaking on the first couple stages of manhood. Do you know the 6 stages of manhood? Most guys don't, and you need to know them. And we're going to walk through them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm telling you, it'll change your life. You go on the app right now and say, I'm in, and get there. It will be epic. I mean it. It is the thing God uses like He did in who He lives life. And everybody else, whether it's man up or not, is like, you're going to walk out of the service after we sing a song or two, and then walk out, and there's going to be places all over the lobby for you to connect. And that's all led by Char Kelly. Come on up, Charlotte. She's going to just give you a heads up of what's waiting out there. There's other people coming up with her that are small group leaders at this place. Because I tell you, we firmly believe life change happens best in circles, not rows. And so that's why we have Char who leads this thing. She's got a whole army of people that'll be out there to answer your questions. So tell them what happens out there.
All right, so
go ahead, just go.
All right, hopefully you've seen out there, we have some flags out there. They say connect, they say care, they say courses. I'm wearing my Alpha shirt. That's a great first step. If you've not heard of Alpha, stop by the table. Mike will be down there, Shad will be down there, and they'll answer your questions. We get together on Monday nights. We have a meal together, we watch a video, and then we do just what Dave said. We have round table discussions in a circle. And it's a great way to take a first step into a group. We also have Bible basics. We have Financial Peace University. We have care classes that happen here for healing. And then some of the friends that I brought up here, I just wanted you to see some friendly faces because they are standing at all of the connect tables because all of these guys lead a group or are involved in leading a group throughout the week. So real quick, I'm just going to kind of introduce these guys. This is Glauber and Whitney. They have a group for families. They have young children, so you bring your kids along. We've got Dan, who's doing a group that's unique for guys who are asking really tough questions and seeking and are maybe skeptics. Kelly's a part of leading a group here on Tuesday nights for singles, 30s and 40s. We've got these guys do 2 groups. So Lisa leads a group for women, and as a couple, her and her husband Gabe, they do a group for families. Yep, right, Kids Welcome. And then these guys do a group on Thursday nights. We call it our men's mid-size group, and it meets here on Thursdays, same time as the women do Insights. And they're going to be starting up in a couple weeks. And guys do the same thing. Watch a video, have roundtable discussions, and they do that throughout the year. So these are just a few of the people, but you can also go on the website, kensingtonchurch.org/groups. You're going to find all these and more. You can go on the app, but come out and talk to us because we can, even if one of these groups aren't the right fit for you, we can help you kind of shop around. So
yeah, and you know, all morning I go out there after the service, and everybody was out there talking and trying to find maybe that connection to the circle or small group they're going to be in. And I know most of these people, but I tell you what, you know, the group of men I talked about, here's one of them for me, Dan Dusher. It's been a part of my life the whole time, 27 years at Kensington. I did his son's wedding last summer. It was just such a privilege to do a brother in Christ, a T2 members. I went to his daughter's wedding just last month. It's just, these are the men that have shaped my life, and you got to have those men and women couples in your life. And I'm guessing some of you do and some of you don't. And tonight's your night to say, okay, tonight I am going to take that next step. So give them a hand as they walk out. They will be in the lobby, willing to answer your questions. And so here's how we're going to end. We're going to end singing. I call it, it's like we're going to recenter. We're going to sort of say, okay, let's go vertical and say, okay, the God that loves us, that shows His love the greatest through others in community, is a God we need to stop at the end of this service and say, let's sing to Him. Let's give praise and worship to Him. And then as we understand that, go out and see Him and connect with Him through community. So I invite you to stand with us, sit with us, pray with us, sing out as loud as you can as Josh and the team leads us in some music just before we leave here tonight to say, I want to go here before I go there. Let's do that.
For our to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. Yes, you have been so, so kind to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, oh, it chases me down and finds till I'm found and leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you gave yourself. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still you loved far from me. Yes, you have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. And you have been so, so kind to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, oh, it chases me down, finds till I'm found and leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you gave yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Sing that again. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Sing it again. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Oh, I believe it. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Sing it one more time. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you gave yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Let's put our hands together. We're going to celebrate with one song before we head out of this place. Come on. Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than, come on, stronger than the power of the grave. Let's put those hands together. Constant in the trial and the change. One thing, this one thing remains. Repeat that one thing.
Sunday night at Kensington. And you were the first crowd to ever do it. And I hope you're back here next week. I promise you, we're starting at 6, okay? We'll start at 6 on time. We'll have better food out there. It'll be quicker, but it'll be the same powerful service. Now, hey, one last thing. I know you're going out to the lobby, connect, spend some time there, get to know somebody, but don't miss the 20th, a week from Wednesday. Where are we? We're at the Strand, Pontiac the Strand, a worship night that's awesome. You can get tickets for $15 right now tonight. To get there, that money all goes to our school partnerships in Pontiac. You want to pray with somebody? Our prayer team will be right here. God bless you. Have a great night. See ya.